Welcome back to ESBR Boxing's YouTube channel. Delighted as always to be joined by Paul Kelly. This is a reaction video to the news that Derek Chisora will be facing Otto Wallin February the 8th in Manchester after looking like he was going to face Jarrell Big Baby Miller. Paul, give us your reaction to this one. It looked like the Jarrell Miller fight was pretty much nailed on. For political reasons, that fight's now not happening. But yeah, the fight with Otto Wallin is happening. Give us your reaction, please.
Hey mate, thanks for having me on as always. Strange one, I think. I don't know. I kind of came out of the blue. I suppose considering it seems that everything was agreed for the Jarrell Miller fight, then this is definitely a good replacement. If you look at it in that sense, I think you know to put that Joshua defeat aside for a minute. The last time we saw Otto Wallin, he gave Tyson Fury a really difficult night. He has a few other good wins, on his resume. So I think it's a tough fight for Derek Chisora. I'm not gonna. I'm sure you'll probably ask me and put me on the spot for a prediction, in a minute or two. But yeah, it's a fight that I think it's a decent fight. It's a decent main event. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm absolutely loving it because, part of me does think that Derek Chisora, I would be happy enough to never see him in a boxing ring again. And I don't mean that disrespectfully. He's done so much for the sport, especially British boxing, but I wouldn't be against not seeing him again. That's just my opinion on it at his stage at this stage of his career. But I know he wants to get to those 50 fights. He has to have another two to do so, including this one. So yeah, it's a very good replacement. If you look at it in the terms of like a replacement for Big Baby Miller, Otto Wallin's a brilliant replacement in my opinion.
Yeah, no, of course. Wallin, I think he obviously had kind of a bit of a beating a year ago against Anthony Joshua. Stopped in 5 rounds. But apart from that, just hasn't done an awful amount wrong. Is he the most exciting heavyweight? Possibly not, but we'll see. I think it's perhaps a tough one to call, and it's a tough one to speak about how Wallen's going to bounce back from the that loss against Joshua a year ago, whereas Chisora is coming off a victory against Joe Joyce, which was very entertaining. A fight he was the underdog for. But which fight would you prefer, Paul? Because I mean, like the Miller fight, I think that the build up was likely to be chaos. Miller's arguably just beaten Andy Ruiz. Would you prefer, from like a fan friendly view, would you have preferred the Miller fight?
Yeah, I think the Miller fight would have been a better watch, and as you alluded to there, I think the build-up would have been crazy because we know like Derek Chisora can flip at any minute, and Big Baby Miller knows how to, kind of knows how to promote a fight as well. Where he's a bit of a trash talker, isn't he? But yeah, I agree with you that yeah, Big Baby Miller in a lot of people's eyes beat Andy Ruiz. Um, whether or not that's the best version of Andy Ruiz or not, I don't think we're going to see that version of Andy Ruiz again. But um, yeah, I would have rathered the Miller fight. But as I said, this is a good replacement. And without giving my prediction away, I'm not saying I think Derek Chisora wins, but I do actually think this is a more winnable fight.
Yeah, yes, that's a fair point. I think one thing about Miller is he's an extremely large man, weighs a lot, and he's hard to look. He's hard to shift. I think don't need what 10 rounds to stop Miller. So I don't think he's not an easy night's work for anybody. I just think that at this stage of Chisora's career, it would have been an insane fight, but it was the wrong opponent for him. Whereas I do agree with you. I think the Wallin fight is more winnable, and it's also credible as well. I think Chisora could have fought another kind of someone on the same level as Gerald Washington, who he fought last year, who's a similar age to him, similar stage of his career. He won that fight, but if we're being honest, hasn't didn't really get a lot of credit for it. Whereas Wallin, he will, if he can beat Otto Wallin at the age of 41, he will get a lot of credit for that. Um, we'll just round things up. Paul, what do you think? What's your gut telling you is going to happen? I imagine Otto Wallin will be the favourite. Wallin, as we mentioned, hasn't done an awful lot wrong. His only losses are to Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury. But yeah, are you expecting Wallin to win on February the 8th, or can you see Chisora pulling it off?
I think if you're looking at the best version of Otto Wallin, obviously he wasn't allowed to do anything against Anthony Joshua, but before that, you're looking at the best version of Otto Wallin. I think he comfortably beats this version of Derek Chisora. Whether he stops him or not, I'm not 100% sure. Don't know how big a puncher Otto Wallin is. But I would back Otto Wallin. Yeah, I think Otto Wallin will beat Derek Chisora. I know I said this is a more winnable fight than Big Baby Miller for Chisora. I do believe that, but that's not saying that I actually think he's going to win. I think that, yeah, I would be fairly surprised if Chisora actually beat Otto Wallin. And that's me going against, I remember I actually predicted Chisora to beat Joyce just because of the Joyce that we had seen of late, but I just do not see him winning this one against Otto Wallin, to be perfectly honest, mate. What about you?
Yeah, I just think if you're Otto Wallin and you lose to this version of Chisora, it's hard to see way back in the same way Joe Joyce lost to Chisora earlier this year. And I don't know about you, I've not heard any rumors recently about a Joyce return. No idea what he's going to do next. I think he's in a bad position now after losing to Chisora. I'm not sure where the next big fight's going to come from for him. The same would be with Otto Wallin if he were to lose. However, saying that, Wallin should he should have enough in him to beat Chisora. He really should. Chisora, I just think the one thing about Chisora is he's quite extraordinary in the sense he kind of can look exhausted in round two or three and look absolutely done, and then somehow still has something left in rounds eight, nine, and 10. That was kind of basically what happened in the Joe Joyce fight, which is incredibly entertaining. So I think Wallin will win, but will he stop Chisora? I'm not convinced because you've got to do something special to stop Derek Chisora. Chisora's been stopped in the past, but look who he's been stopped by and look how he's been stopped as well. So yeah, I'll go for Wallin on points, but we'll see. I think it will be an entertaining night in Manchester on February the 8th. We'll do more content in the build-up to this fight and we will see what happens. Paul, good to be joined by you. We'll speak to you again very soon.
Cheers, mate. All the best.